Morning, everybody. I am so happy to see all of your faces this morning. And if you're watching via social media, we are so happy you decided to join us this morning. We love you, and we are so excited to worship together this morning. We want to do things a little bit differently this morning. So we have our kids in service with us during worship. So if you're watching online, you probably don't realize that. But we wanted to open up with a kids song. So if you have kids at home this morning, have them get up right now and tune in and turn up the music. And we're going to start with a kids song. So adults, dance and sing along with us. Cadence is going to come up and lead us in some fun motions. Kids, you can come up to the front here if you want. But we are going to start with a good, fun kids song. So everybody can stand up. I'm going to open in prayer, and then we're going to get started this morning. Dear Lord, we love you, and we thank you for an opportunity to just love people and to serve your kingdom, God. We thank you for everything that you're about to do in this service. I thank you for the word that you've given Adam to bring to all of us this morning. We love you, and we just are so honored that you chose us for this community. In Jesus' name, amen. You can all stand up with me.
We are the colors outside of the lines, and we paint a picture so one of a kind. Attention, we call attention. Our mission, redirect attention. So let's break the mold, go off the wall, be in the world but not of it. Against the grain, let's look the same. We're walking out, but love is gonna march to the beat of a different drum. Hey, to the left, right, let's do our own rhythm. And we'll keep on moving, 'cause we're not afraid to stand out. March to the beat of a different drum. Hey, to the left, right, let's do our own rhythm. And we'll keep on moving, 'cause we're not afraid to stand out. We're not a copy of the status quo. We're cut from the cloth of the original. Attention, gotta get your attention. All you need to try to be is who you're made to be. Break the mold, go off the wall, be in the world but not of it. Against the grain, let's help the same. We're walking out where love is gonna march to the beat of a different drum. We do the left, right, let's do our own rhythm. We'll keep on moving, 'cause we're not afraid to stand out.
but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You are Mountains are still being moved. And strongholds are still being moved. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. And bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. 'Cause God, we believe. Yes, we can see. Wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We set our heart for you right now. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. Come on, cry out. We need a move. Oh, we need a move. We need a move. We need a Come on, prophesy. 'Cause miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Oh, sing miracles. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move.
We need a move.
We need.
And we prophesy that this is. Oh, oh, this is. Oh, this is. Oh, this is. We don't have to wait any longer. This is standing in the middle of a move. Standing in the middle of a move. This is. This is.
You know, as we were singing that, and I just felt inside of me, you know what, that somebody needs a move. You know, as the song "Do It Again" was singing, he talks about walking around the walls, and he thought by now they would fall. I feel like somebody feels like they've been walking around these walls for a very long time. They've been walking and walking and felt like, you know what, God, you should have moved by now. I've been walking around these walls. I've been moving. I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. God, why haven't these walls fallen yet? God, why haven't you moved the way that I thought that you were going to move? God, I'm tired of walking. I'm tired of going around these walls. I feel like I can't get any more. I don't have any more energy. I don't have what I need to be able to move a little bit further. God, I need you to move. I feel like this morning God's saying if you feel like you've been walking, that God is walking there beside you, that you're not walking alone, that your move is coming, that your move will be here, but you have to stay faithful and keep moving. That God will move alongside with you as you're moving, He's moving with you, and your walls are about to fall. What you've been praying for, what you've been fighting for, that move that you've been praying for, that move that you've been fighting for, God says that it's coming, that your move is here and that your move is coming.
Can't go back to the beginning.
God, I thank you this morning, God.
Can't control what tomorrow will bring.
Lord, I thank you this morning, God, for a move. God, we need your move. God, we need you to transform our life, God. Lord, we feel like we've been walking and walking and walking, and nothing has happened, God. God, we feel like our walls should have fallen down by now, but they just haven't. God, this morning, I thank you for a move. Lord, I pray for foundations that are starting to crumble, so that the walls will come down, Lord. Lord, I thank you for that, God. Lord, I thank you for breakthrough. I thank you for who you are, God. God, I thank you that we don't have to travel this journey alone. God, that when things seem like they're not going well, they're not going great, God, that you're still there beside us. God, you're still making a path when we don't see it, God. And Lord, I thank you for a move and for breakthrough this morning, God. You are so good, God. And in your name I pray. Amen. Let's give him praise this morning. And you may be seated. You know, we serve a great God. You know, it doesn't always seem like we're moving in the same direction. Sometimes it seems like we're moving alone, but He's always moving with us. That there's other things happening when it doesn't seem like it's happening. And this morning, I just want to encourage somebody, whether you're watching on the screen or you're here in person, I just want to encourage you that God is moving with you and that God is breaking down foundations that you may not see. So this morning, we got a few announcements this morning. Ben's going to throw up the announcement video, and then we'll get into the Word.
would love to have you join us on Tuesdays for packing the food bags and for food distribution. Also, we will be doing our fall harvest party with the trunk or treat this year. If you would like to be a part of this and set up a car for trunk or treat or donate candy or volunteer for the event, we would love to have your help. You can donate candy on Sunday mornings or you can drop it off at our food pickup line on Tuesdays. Also, there are several ways you can give. You can text Forward Church to the number that's on your screen, or you can give in the boxes in the back, or there's a link on your Facebook page that you can click and it will direct you to the site to give accordingly. Thank you, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the service.
All right, so also with that give, you can go to the website too. So it's myforwardchurch.com, myfwdchurch.com. You can go there and you can give on that website as well. So just keep that in mind. I need to update that, but we're just excited about everything that's been happening. Last week, who was blessed last week by Brandon's sermon? It was a great sermon last week. If you missed it online, I'm sorry. I tried to recover it, get as good as I can, but it just was all screwed up, so I can't even repost it. But part of me is like, man, how am I supposed to follow that? You know, it's his first time up here, and he makes me look bad on his first time up here. But he did a great job. And I'm excited to see where God's just going to keep taking him. That good on his first time, I can't wait to see after he's done it 10 times, how much better he's going to be. And I'm excited just for the things that God's laid on his heart to be able to hear a different perspective and be able to hear it from somebody else. And honestly, this morning, my message is inspired by Brandon from last week. I actually was planning on going a completely different direction over the next couple weeks, but I just felt like God pulling on me from what Brandon was speaking. And so that direction I'm going to go, you know, when God speaks, our plans go out the window. You know, what I was planning to do, God said, no, we're not doing that. This is a different direction. I want you to kind of continue the direction, the path that Brandon was going. You know, and the funny thing about our plans going out the window, you know, there's no truer time than 2020 for plans going out the window. So that's just the way it's been 2020. Plans are out the window. You just go slow. So this morning, the title of my sermon is Take the Mask Off. And some of you might be saying, you know what, you're taking a stance on masks this morning. Thanks for telling me that I don't have to wear my masks. I don't want to wear my mask anyways. I shouldn't have to wear my mask. Thanks for telling me not to wear my mask. Thanks for the permission. Some of you are like, you don't have to tell me not to wear my mask because I'm not wearing it anyways. You can't take my freedom. It's my freedom. I don't have to wear it. And there's some of you that are appalled right now and saying, how dare you tell people not to wear a mask? If you were a true Christian, you'd wear your mask. If you really love me, then you'd wear a mask. So there's all these different perspectives when I say take off your mask. But this morning, I'm going to tell you that I'm not talking about those masks. Not talking about those masks. Those masks are such hot topics. You know, I've sat through a lot of different meetings. I've heard people say those same phrases. But this morning, I want to talk about the mask that we wear depending on who's around us. The mask that we wear depending on the crowd that we're around. You know, what we portray to other people when we're around them and the different masks that we wear, depending on who we're around, is actually who we want them to feel like we are. You know, we hide behind masks all the time. We don't actually show people the way that we feel. We hide behind masks. We hide behind masks so that no one knows what's truly going on in our lives. You know, a prime example of that, you know, you're with your wife, you're arguing with your wife, she's really frustrated with you. She's like, why don't you just help around the house more? It would be nice if you just helped around the house, you just wanted to help me with the kids and help me change diapers. Then you're like, who wants to change diapers? Nobody ever wants to change diapers. And then she's even more frustrated with you. She gets even more frustrated with you. And then her phone rings. She's like, hello? Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's the perspective, you know, she's like ripping you one, and as soon as the phone rings, she's like, oh, hello. It's like a completely different voice. I'm like, I've never heard that voice before. How come you don't talk to me that way? But it's the perspective that we give off when they pick up the phone. You're like, who is this lady? Her head was just spinning around in circles 20 seconds earlier. Like, what is happening right now? Like, but it's the perspective that we give off. And you know it's true because we all do it. Everybody has their phone voice. You're like, who is this person? You don't sound like that. Like, even when she's not frustrated, hello? You're like, who is that? But it's a perspective that we all give off to somebody else, and we want them to feel. We portray to people what we want to portray. We don't want to portray the junk that's in our life, the way that we're actually feeling. Or when somebody comes over to the house, you're like, oh, no. Somebody, especially our driveway, you can see them pulling down the driveway, and you're like, oh, no, somebody's coming. So you're like, oh, throw stuff in the room back here. Throw it in the laundry basket so you can hide it because we don't want them to see our junk. You know what I mean? If you come over and the house is a little messy, no, you've made it up a level because you've made it to see the house messy. So you made it up from this level to this level. Just ask Ed. Ed's came in and the house has been messy. So if you come to the house and the house is messy, you've made it up a level. So, but it's funny because we do all these things and we just hide what's actually happening in our life. And we don't always do it on purpose. And sometimes it's done accidentally. And honestly, social media is the worst for this. And this morning, I want to take you through a journey of some of Amber and I's Facebook photos and tell you about what really is happening in these Facebook photos that you may not see. So the first one here is with Mickey Mouse. It's breakfast with Mickey Mouse. You're like, it's awesome. We had breakfast with Mickey Mouse. Donald Duck was there. Minnie Mouse was there. Daisy Duck was there. Goofy was there. It was awesome. It was great, A breakfast buffet. There was Mickey Mouse waffles, biscuits and gravy, my personal favorite. There was eggs, pancakes. The kids got to meet the characters. The characters came to all our tables, got pictures taken, got autographs. It was the perfect morning, right? So what this picture portrays is the perfect morning. But what you don't see about this picture is that Cadence wasn't feeling good during this time. Can't really tell it there. She wasn't feeling great. She tried to power through it, but it was getting the best of her. So she's on her way to the bathroom, and she throws up all the way down the hallway to the bathroom at the restaurant. So she's going down the hall to the restaurant, and we got to go get waitresses and go tell them, my daughter just threw up down the hallway. Super embarrassing. And so Cadence starts to feel a little better after she threw up. We're like, all right, let's go the rest of the day. Hopefully the rest of the day will feel a little better. She eats a little bit. She starts to feel a little better. She feels like she's feeling better. And then we move on to the safari. So here's a picture of the safari. So we're on it. Ben, you got the next picture there? So we're on the safari. No, not that one. The one after it. I might have put them in the wrong order. So here we are on the safari. It looks like a great time, right? Looks like we're having tons of fun. But what you don't see in this one is Cadence got sick again and she's got a doggy bag throwing up. If you look, you can see in her eyes, you can see from her eyes that she looks sick. But you don't see these from the Facebook photos because that's not what we wanted you to see. It was a sad day because Cadence was sick. It was like first thing in the morning. Amber had to take her back to the hotel. We had fast passes to ride the new Avatar ride. Missed out on the fast passes because Cadence was sick. I had Kinley still at the park, but Kinley wasn't tall enough, so we still couldn't ride it. So it was awful. And this was our one day at Animal Kingdom, which if you know anything about Disney, you have to plan your days out. You have your fast passes, have to be in certain places certain days. If not, you just miss out. So now we're pretty bummed out because we just missed out on our Animal Kingdom day. We got an extra day that we were going to roll around, but we don't have a fast pass for Avatar because you got to book those out like 6 months in advance to get them. So really bummed out we didn't get them. And then, so we go back, and then the next day, we're at Cinderella's, we're having dinner with Cinderella and the stepsisters. So here it is. Kids look like they're having a great time. Another great meal. It was a dinner buffet. Kids were there. The stepsisters all came to the table. Great interactions with the evil stepmom. It was so much fun. But you don't see here in this picture is Xander decides to get sick in this one, except he doesn't make it to the bathroom. He just throws up on the table. So, right in the middle of the table, in the middle of the meal, while the characters are coming around all the tables, Xander is throwing up on the table, and we're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? So we got all our napkins, and we're trying to clean it up. And then we're talking to the waitress, hey, we need some more extra napkins so we can get this cleaned up. She's like, no, we'll take care of it. So we're super embarrassed at this time, It was bad enough that it happened in a hallway where there wasn't anybody. This is a room that was pretty packed full. It's a super nice restaurant, and my kid's throwing up on the table. It stinks. You can smell it, and it's just bad. So we're like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? So we start feeling like, man, Cinderella starts coming, and she's like, oh, nope, and she skips past our table. So we miss out on Cinderella. She's got to come back, And then after all this, we get ready. The waitress is like, we'll take care of it. Out comes the hazmat team. This guy comes out with this ginormous briefcase that he's like pulling one of those big, it's like a suitcase. He pulls this thing open, he gets his gloves on, and meanwhile, we're at this table, there's everybody around can see what's happening. The guy's like getting his spray bottles out. I've never seen something so intense. If it would have been today, we'd have been quarantined for at least like 4 weeks because of it. So Xander's sick, and then we're like, man, what is going on? And what you don't see is after everything happens, Amber's back sobbing to the manager because we're going to miss out on another day at Disney. We already missed out on one. Now we're going to miss out on another day. We spent so much money on this trip. We splurged to go on this trip. And it's just horrible. Everything's just going wrong. Our kids are throwing up everywhere, and it's just not great. It's supposed to be the dream vacation. But you don't see that because we didn't want you to see that. You didn't see that part of this vacation. Another vacation. Pull that next one up, Ben. We're in Costa Rica. Trip of a lifetime, right? It's our tropical vacation. We had splurged on this one. This was like we had never been on a vacation like this before. We were snorkeling. There was great food, great pools. We get there. We're so excited. We wake up the next morning. We're getting ready, and we're like, what is that? And the room starts shaking, and we're like, what's happening? And it starts shaking a little more. And I'm like, Amber's like, what is happening? I'm like, I think it's an earthquake. So I'm like putting my contacts in. Cadence is still asleep by a giant glass window. And then it's like a 7.8 earthquake. So this whole hotel starts swaying back and forth what feels like 6 feet. Water starts squirting out of the ceiling. They have like those liquor cabinets. Every bottle in the liquor cabinet broke because it's shaking so much. Amber's like, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. I think we're supposed to stand in a door frame. You can hear everybody out in the hallways yelling in Spanish. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have taken Spanish and not Latin in school because I have no idea what they're saying. Like, I have no idea what's going on right now. And they're just running around and doing Spanish. And then we get out. We're going down the steps, and there's giant pieces of the ceiling falling on the ground. And then there's like 5-foot-tall pots with plants in them. They're falling over. It's an absolute disaster. And this is like less than 24 hours after we got there. It was the first morning when we got there. And it's seriously like a movie. So we get outside the hotel, and we're standing there, and it goes up a hill a little bit, and we can see over the hotel. So then people start talking. I've never been in an earthquake before. People start talking about a tsunami, and we're like, oh, geez. Now we're going to die. Now we're going to drown. So we're standing there, and we're like watching over the hotel, and we're like, maybe we should start going uphill because we're like right at a mountain. So we start walking up the mountain as we're just waiting to die. And it's probably not my proudest moment. We have Cadence, and I look at Amber, and I said, I think she was actually carrying Cadence at the point, and I look at Amber, and I'm like, just so you know, if the tsunami comes, I'm taking Cadence, and I'm running. You need to keep up. Probably not the best thing to say to your wife when you're ready to die. I wasn't thinking that one through completely. I was just thinking I used to be a lifeguard, pretty strong swimmer. I probably run faster than her, but I think that's kind of like that bear story. Who can outrun the bear? I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun Amber. I think that's kind of my mindset going through that. But so that was just the thought process. And we're going up the mountain, and we're walking up, and then down comes what looks like the militia. There's all these men in this huge, like, flatbed red truck. They're hanging over the sides. I'm like, great, now we're going to get robbed. We've outdied. Now these guys are going to go to the hotel because we're like, we have no food for Cadence. We have no diapers for Cadence. I didn't grab my wallet, and worst of all, I didn't bring my passports. I left my passport up in the room. Like, great, somebody's been going back to Ohio speaking Spanish, named Adam Holly, with my passport. So we're like, man, we're gonna get robbed. We get back to the hotel, and those guys are actually just like, there's work, so they're gonna go work because they know now the hotel needs fixed up because the hotel is wrecked. There's pieces of the hotel laying everywhere. props that were all down near the front. You can't even get in them because the ceiling had fallen down. So, but this is all things that you don't see from the pictures on Facebook. The reason the pictures are all on the beach is because you couldn't take pictures in the hotel because the hotel was ruined. The night when we walked, at that first night after it happened, they're like, you guys aren't allowed, you're not allowed to go back in your hotel room. And we're like, what do you mean we're not allowed to go back in our hotel room? We're like, we can't because of safety hazards until the guys come out. So we have to go outside and sleep on beach chairs outside. There's a guy snoring as loud as you can imagine out there. I don't even know what was happening over there. We have Cadence. My family's there with us. And we're like, all right, we all just need to circle around Cadence while we sleep so nobody steals her in the middle of the night. So now we're worried about somebody coming in and stealing my child in the middle of the night. But you don't see any of that happen. You see the good times. You see exactly what we want to portray to you, which is that everything was great. Everything that happened was awesome. You know, we want you to feel like our vacation is perfect, but not only was our vacation perfect, but our whole life was perfect. And what happens when we live our life in a social media mentality and we want our whole lives to portray the things that we want people to see? When we're not really real with anyone and that we just hide behind masks all the time and nobody really knows who we are or knows the truth from our life. What happens when we put on such a show for everyone in our lives that everyone views us as an actor or an actress? When everyone around us knows that we're just putting on a show and that we're not. You know what? And then we get so caught up in these roles that we play that we lose who we are. Because we've been putting on an act for so long that we're not entirely sure what's an act anymore. We're not entirely sure who we are anymore. We appear to be happy, we appear to be successful, but we're in on the inside. We're not sure if we can make it through the next day. You know, we do all this, and we put on these different shows, but we put on different shows depending on who's in the audience. Who we're around at the time is depending on what kind of show that we're putting on. We want to be loved, want to be beloved. We want people to throw roses on the stage at our life. We want people to be inspired by our life. We want the critics to write a good review of our life. But with every performance that we put on, we lose a little bit of who we are. A portion of the act that we put on, we get lost in that act. And this morning, I want to talk to you about how we stop and talk to you about stop using your life as a stage. And I think the first thing as we talk about as we go through this is understanding that God has set you apart. In order for you to understand that you need to stop treating your life this way, understand that God has set you apart. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." And I think the most important thing of being real and being who you are is understanding that you have value. Is understanding that God has placed value in who you are and made you who you are. If we don't understand the value that Jesus has in us, then we start to treat our life as if it has no value. If we don't understand the value and we give no value to our life, then we treat our life like it doesn't matter. We treat it doesn't matter what we do tomorrow. It doesn't matter what we do today because we have no value for it. We give no direction in our life. And we're not purposeful with it. We're easily changed by all the people that are around us. We let the people who are in the audience determine what mask we wear today. They determine what we hold as acceptable and not acceptable in our life. The audience determines our script, and then our show loses value. Who we are as a person loses value when someone else is determining what our script is. And the truth is, you can only put on a show for so long. Sooner or later, people will know that you're just putting on a show and will know who the real you is, even though you're not showing it or you don't think you're showing it. Sooner or later, everyone is going to know, and you know, as I was thinking about this, your whole life becomes professional wrestling. And you're like, what are you talking about? But just think about it. I used to love professional wrestling when I was a kid. Loved it. It was great. It was fantastic. Every week we'd watch it, and then it turned into a wrestling match in the middle of our living room. Usually ended up with us getting in trouble. But every single week, we loved to watch wrestling. I was mesmerized by these men that were so ginormous. They were huge. They were so strong. And I used to think, man, one day I'm going to be able to pick a man above my head like that. And I'm going to be able to body slam somebody like that. And thought, what, one day I'm going to be able to take a punch like that. I want somebody to be able to punch me in the face like that, and then I just stand there like it didn't even hurt me. So one day, my life was going to be like that, I thought. But then one day, my whole world changed when I found out it wasn't even real. I found out that these men were just actors up here. Hulk Hogan wasn't really that tough. Jim Duggan wasn't that tough. It was just an act. And my whole life was changed. I thought, man, these guys aren't really who I thought they were. But what happens when we live our life like this and somebody says, you know what, that's just fake. What you're portraying off is just fake. What you're giving off, it's the same way that I felt after wrestling. I probably still watched it. I still watched it afterwards because it was entertainment, but it changed my perspective on the way that I watched it. And once people that you live around find out who the real you is, then it changes their perspective on who you are. And it changes their perspective on the way that they treat you. So what happens when the person that they thought you were turns out to be nothing that they thought that you actually were? That the person they thought you were is somebody completely different. When the person that's off the stage is actually a raging alcoholic that hates everybody and hates their life. When the person that's off the stage is actually miserable and suffering with depression and is rude to their kids and hits their kids, what happens then? What happens when we step off our stage and live our lives out as who we are? And I think the one thing that we need to do to be able to step off the stage and figure out who we actually are is to become self-aware. We need to understand exactly who we are because some of us have lost who we are. We think we sound one way, and we think everybody is hearing something else, but they're actually hearing something completely different. I got a video here to show you a prime example of what people act like when they talk a certain way and somebody hears something different.
Say, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Say, I'm Batman. Who are you? You're who?
But for Xander thought he was saying, I'm Batman. Xander thought he was talking in a deep voice, but guess what? I knew he wasn't. I knew what voice he was actually talking in. He felt like he was talking that way, but I knew he wasn't talking in a deep voice. And the sad thing is we live our life like that tons. We live our life where we think we sound like Batman, but we actually sound like Batgirl. We think that the thing that we're portraying is actually completely different than what people hear. Because they see what's actually happening in our lives. They don't hear what we're saying, they see what we're saying. They see the way that we live our life. And we know we're not what we're portraying. They might not know exactly who you are, but they know that you're not who you're portraying. We wear so many different masks that we just forget who we are. And we think that we're giving something off that we're not. As we get around people, we pick up different habits from people. Very easy to do to pick up different habits from people. You pick up different things the way that people are saying, and then we start to intertwine all those things with ourselves. We just play to that audience that's around us. When we're around people a lot, we begin to talk like people. The more you're around somebody, the more you begin to talk like them. I notice this a lot with myself when I'm around certain people. I can pick up certain things that they say and the way that they say it. Even if the way they say it and the things that they do drives me absolutely insane, sometimes I still catch myself almost wanting to say it. I can pick it up myself and usually stop myself before I say it, but there's that point where I actually feel like, I almost say it, but then I stop myself, and it drives me even more crazy that I'm ready to say it myself. It just, I irritate myself. Then I'm frustrated with myself, and I have this conversation with myself in my head. It's like, why are you talking like that? Like, you sound so dumb. Like, why are you doing that? That's not who you are. And, just think about, like, catchphrases. We've all picked up different catchphrases from different people. Just look at, was so popular a couple years was YOLO. People would say, YOLO. And children would say, I'm about to be an idiot right now. It's pretty much what that statement meant. Like, I'm about to do something really dumb right now. YOLO, you only live once. I'm about to do something really dumb. It's what it meant, but it caught on to everybody. Everybody's like, YOLO, and you're like, man, you're an idiot because you're about to do something stupid that you know is stupid right now. You know that it's not going to end well for you, but it's things that we pick up and that we say from other people. But what do we do when we realize that we need help? What do we do when we realize that what we're putting on, the show that we're putting on for so long, and the character that we've played is so intertwined with who we actually should be? How do we separate the two when we're not sure which is which anymore? What happens when you're so deep and you don't know how to get out of it? Let's continue reading in Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." Most of the time, people stop there. Most of the time, you don't hear the verses that are coming after that. But it continues to say, "Then you will call on me and come to pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me, and when you seek me with all your heart, I will be found by you, declares the Lord. And I will bring you back from captivity." Jesus is saying it's simple. The plans that he has for you, the things that he has for you in your life, it's simple to be able to get back to those things. Jesus says, call on me. Pray to me. Seek me. Pray to me. I will hear you. Seek me with all your heart, and you'll find me. I'm here. It's not difficult. He didn't make some extensive pathway to try to figure out, I'm down this path. I don't know how to. God said, you know what? I've made plans for you. I have these plans for you. Call on me, and I will help get you back to them. It's not complicated. He says, run after me and catch me. I'm not running from you. Just run to me. And after you catch him, guess what? He said he's going to bring you back from captivity. The things that you feel captive in, the stage that you feel captive in, that you feel like you've been in captivity for so long, you feel like you've been in chains, God said, you know what, I will bring you out of that. All you got to do is call on me. I'll bring you back to the stage that you're supposed to be on. I'll bring you back to the real you if you just call on me. It's not difficult. We want to overcomplicate things, but God said, just catch me. Come after me. I'll take you to your real stage. I'll take you to your real life. And how many times have we felt captive in our own lives? How many times have we felt like, I'm just dying inside? How many times have we felt like, I've been putting on this show because I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to tell everybody I come to church and the things that I do. How many times have you been walking and you're with your friends and you're like, I know that God's got this calling for me and I know that God's telling me to speak to my friends, but I'm embarrassed. So then I start to turn so I can be accepted by them. How many times do we live our life and we feel like we're on the outside looking in? We feel like we're outside a window and we're watching our life through a window. We see everything that's happening, but we don't feel like we can, that I'm not sure how to get out of it. I've dug myself so deep that to get out of it, I might be a little embarrassed. I've dug myself so deep that in order to get out, people are going to know that I've been living a life that's been a fraud. To get myself out of this, but guess what? It's worth it because God has a path for you. God has placed value in your life and you've been devaluing your life for so long, God says, I still have value in your life. That no matter how you feel, and my plans for you, guess what? My plans for you are good. My plans for you are great. Is it easy? Nope. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you, at any point will I ever stand up here and tell you that this life is easy. But I will tell you it's worth it. I will tell you the 4 hours of sleep I get a night is worth it. Thank you. When people come to the food line and they're like, hey, can you pray for me? Can you lay your hands on me? People that come through and you know what? They say, you know what, my life, God has been blessing me so much since I decided to give my life over to him because of what you guys have been doing. That God has been blessing me beyond means. You see somebody else's life that's blessed. But those changes don't happen when we live our life on a stage that isn't the right stage. Those changes don't happen in people whenever we don't live the real life, the real us out. When the real us is fake. When the real us that everyone sees it knows is fake. When people see that, it doesn't change anything for anybody. It turns them off, actually. So this morning, I really felt this pull in my spirit that for somebody out there, you know, you feel like you've been living a life that's just been a fake. Or maybe for you, you're like, you know what? I've been living my life on this stage and I'm tired of living on this stage. I've been living my life this way for so long and I'm ready to just give God everything I've got. That, you know what? The real me, I'm living the real me. This mask that I'm wearing, this isn't fake. Like, this is the real me, but I'm ready for God to change the real me. I'm ready for God to take me out of captivity because I've been captive in my mind for so long. That I've been a prisoner to my mind for so long. The things that I go through in my life, the things that I go through in my mind, I'm in a prison of my own mind. The depression that comes in my mind, the things that come to my mind that I can't get out of. I feel like my life is dead. I feel like I'm just walking through my life. I'm walking through, and I'm not living it the way that I'm supposed to be. I'm just a zombie walking through my life. This morning, I want to tell you that God wants to make your life whole. This morning, I want to tell you that we serve a God who's a chain breaker. That the things that the captivity that you might be feeling in your mind, that God can take you out of captivity. That he can take the chains that are out of your life. He can pull you out of that prison and bring you back into life. That he can bring life back into something that feels dead. That he can bring hope back into something that feels hopeless. That he can bring back emotions into your life that you haven't felt for a long time because you felt dead inside. You know, and I think the best portion of this scripture, and I think the thing that I love the most, is that he says here it's not complicated. It's not hard. We want to overthink things and we want to go through a 10-step process of trying to get out of this and going through all these things, but God says, you know what? Just run to me. All you have to do is run to me. Run to me with your whole heart and seek me and you will find me and I will bring you out of that captivity. It's not difficult. I don't have to get up here and overcomplicate anything. I don't have to go through a 3-step, 10-step program. Like, I don't have 15 points this morning because it doesn't take 15 points. It takes 1 point, and that 1 point is Jesus. That 1 point is just saying, run to me. Seek me with your whole heart, and he'll bring you out of it. May not be an easy journey, may be tough, because to be brought out of those things, there's some things that have to be broken off, and sometimes it hurts for things to be broken off. Sometimes when things in our life that feel like they need to be broken off, sometimes those things that need to be broken off, they're painful when they're broken off. Sometimes when things need to be removed, sometimes we feel an emptiness. Because we remove things from our life that filled so much of our life that there's an emptiness there, but God will fill that emptiness. The void that you might feel from the things that are taken out of your life, that God will replace that void in your life with something else. So this morning, I just want to encourage you that if you feel like you've been living your life on a stage, you feel like, you know what, I've been so fake for so long, I didn't know how to get out of it. I've been living this life that I felt like, you know what, I just want people to like me. I just want to have friends. And that's why I got myself so deep that I didn't know how I was going to get out, and now I'm just stuck. Or maybe for you, you're like, you know what, I've never really tried this before. I've went to church, I've listened, but I've never given myself completely to God. I've never chased after Him wholeheartedly, and there's a lot of things in my life that probably need to be changed. I have things in my life that I feel like need to be taken away, need to be broken away, so I can get to the place that I need to be, because I know that God placed something in my life for something for me to do. I know that God has placed this next level in my life that I need to get to, but I know that on the stage that I'm in and the things that I'm doing, I can't get to that point. This morning I want to tell you it's easy. Just follow Him. Just say yes to Him. Chase after Him with your whole heart. Give Him everything. And you know what? He's so faithful to give us exactly what we need. I can point to you time and time and time in my life that I've stepped off the stage and I've went into my true identity that Christ has given me, what Brandon preached about last week. When I stepped into that my life has been completely changed. Even if there's just little portions of my life that I'm keeping away from Him, when I give Him those, my life begins to change so much. You know, I can think about, since we've started here in Newton Falls, the blessing that God has put down. The blessings that God has put not only on us, but the blessings He's put on people around us. The blessings He's put on people that have sacrificed. The blessings He's put on people that have come through our food line. The blessing that God has done because we're willing to say, you know what, God, here's this piece of me. You can have this piece of me, and you can have all of me. He's so good. And honestly, we could probably write a book, go down through and write a book of all God's blessings. You know, we feel like we got another blessing coming this week. Still talking about it. Might be another blessing that's coming this week, upcoming in a couple months. But we know that because we said, God, here it is, I'm running after you. It's nothing that we've done. As we talk about all these things, it's nothing that we've done. We've just said yes. We've been obedient. It's been God that's done all the work. But God has used us. We've been vessels. If you're willing to be a vessel and willing to be used, the blessings that come along with that are huge. And not just in your life, because somebody else that stands beside you, that lives beside you, that works beside you might need that blessing from your yes. So this morning, as I close this morning, I just want to encourage you. It's not difficult. We don't have to walk through it. It's easy. Run to Him and say yes. Just say, God, here I am. Do with me what you want. God, I want your plans. I want to prosper through you. I know that you've laid these things out for me, and I want to walk alongside of it. I want to follow that path that you've got for me, because I know that you've called me to great things. Just say yes. God, we just thank you this morning, God. God, I thank you that my identity can be found in you.
Anybody here ready to give God glory tonight?
God, I thank you for the things that Brandon preached about last week, that our life, Lord, can be found in you. God, that you died for us. God, that you took everything away.
Let's go then.
And God, I thank you that I could come to you and run to you, God, and you'll take care of my future. God, if I lay everything inside of you, if I lay my plans in front of you, my future in front of you, God, and run with you, God, that you're going to prosper me. God, that there will be lives that will be changed because of who you are. God, this morning, I pray that we could step off the stage, so we can change the audience. Because God, if we're not affecting anyone else's life, what's the point? God, if I'm not making somebody else's life better, what's the point? God, if I'm not sacrificing and serving somebody else to make somebody else's life better, what's the point? This is vessels. God, use Forward Church as a vessel. Lord, a vessel for miracles to be poured out. God, let us be known that we're the people that will run after you. God, let us be known that we're the people that will do what nobody else is willing to do. God, let us be known as the people that will say yes to God no matter what happens, no matter what comes in front of us. God, this morning, I thank you for who you are. Lord, this morning, I pray for people who are ready to step off the stage. Lord, I pray that there would be people that would come alongside of them. Lord, I pray that there would be divine appointments of people that would be able to step beside them and help them walk through this life. Lord, that will be able to pick them up when they fall. Lord, that will be able to help keep them accountable. Lord, that will be able to encourage them. Lord, that will be able to help push them for more and for better, God. I thank you for that, God. And Lord, I thank you for miracles that are coming. Lord, I thank you for destinies that are coming. Lord, I thank you for callings that are going to be answered. And God, most of all, I thank you for change. Lord, I pray that as we leave here this morning, that you would just challenge us to be better every single day. Lord, that we can lay it down and just know that we're going to run after you. And Lord, and we know we're going to fall. Lord, we know that we're going to slip back into those old things, God. But after we slip out of them, God, I pray that we can slip, as fast as we slip into them, that we can slip out of them. God, I thank you for that. And I thank you for who you are. And in your name I pray. You know, this morning I just want to encourage you. God says step off the stage and live your life. Because the plans that he has for you are great. And the plans that he has for you are wonderful. All right, have a good Sunday.